there, I'm Square, and let's talk about art. All right, so jumping right in, you can see that there's already some of the sketch done. This might show a little bit of my inexperience with recording my drawings. I came into this drawing thinking, oh, this would be a great one to record. And then I completely forgot to hit the record button until I was partial way in to the sketch. I paused a little bit thinking, oh, should I just give this up, throw this away, start over? But I really liked this base, so I just plowed on forward. And that is a theme with this piece of artwork today. I struggled a lot with this piece, and honestly, I didn't think I would. I thought it was a pretty simplistic design, but I don't know if it was just my hands not cooperating or I was just having a bad art day. But I had a lot of trouble with this one. But I'm also a bit stubborn. So I did not stop. I did not give up. And again, I just plowed on forward to finish the artwork. And I'm glad I did, because ultimately I ended up pretty happy with the result. Now, this character here, if you read the description, the title, if you recognize the name, should be a pretty recognizable character for those of you who are a fan of the Persona series. This is a character from Persona 5. And I've been really into Persona lately. I've been playing a lot of Persona 5 Royale. I think it's a really fantastic game. It's been a few years since I played the first one, so it really feels like almost a new game with all this added content, and considering how long it's been, it wasn't super duper fresh in my head. So highly recommend, even if you've played and beaten the first version of this, Royale is totally worth your time. So now that I've sung its praises, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the struggles I've been having, and watching myself draw this again, I could see them already. This line art inking period was rough for me. I was having such a hard time just pulling a straight line. If you look, you could see so many bumps and ridges, and just, it's so uncomfortable to look at right now. Another reason why I kind of debated with myself whether I even wanted to post this video. But ultimately, I decided that this is something that I would enjoy seeing. And that's a lot that goes into my own thought process of what to post on this channel. And I watch a lot of art videos on YouTube. I watch a lot of drawing videos. I watch a lot of crafting. I really like doll customizing videos. All those things I find really interesting. And some of the more interesting episodes are ones where the artist seems to struggle a little bit. Not that I like to see people struggling, but it's interesting to see the workarounds that they make and the process they go through when they're struggling so much. So look at this inking, it is rough. I usually pride myself on my really smooth inking that comes, again, from a history with traditional art where if you mess up a line with your pen, that line is toast. There's not really anything you can do. So this was a really frustrating experience for me. You could just see how the lines aren't matching up. I have to stop my lines a million times over. I go back over and correct the lines, but I keep moving forward. Like here on this mouth, it's just line. Okay, maybe kind of, it's good enough. I'm stepping away for now. So if you're also a little bit bothered by the amount of just overlap and just ugly, bumpy lines that aren't those smooth, nice lines, I do fix them. I actually put this down at one point and color it the next day. I combined both of those videos into one here so you can see the whole process, but like this eye here, it was rough. Sometimes you just have those days where even if you've drawn a million times over, you have all this experience with art, it just isn't working. And logically, you're sitting there why can't I pull a line? I've done this 50,000 times. What is happening to me? And in those cases, if you're a artist as well, if you're a budding artist, especially a new artist, because I ran into this problem a lot as a new artist, I would recommend don't give up. Sometimes you need to just walk away, which is what I ended up doing. Like I said, I wanted to just get some lines on the page, and then I stopped for the day and came back to it the next day. I slept on it. And I find doing that is really beneficial to my work. And it's something that I've been doing. I try not to sit down and finish one picture in one go. I'll do like maybe the sketch on one day. Maybe I'll do the sketch in ink. Maybe I'll hold off on coloring. Maybe I'll hold off on backgrounds for a different day. Because a lot of times when you come back to something with fresh eyes, you're not looking at the same spot over and over and over again. And if you're doing that, if you're just looking at one thing the entire time, you kind of lose everything. It's hard to see the picture as a whole. You're so focused on these little pieces sometimes, or maybe you're so focused on just finishing, you make mistakes. So looking at it with fresh eyes, your eyes will most of the time be naturally drawn to the areas that have rough patches. Your eyes will naturally see and point out where things are not correct. So there's a long pause coming up here, and this is where I stop. I just quit for the day. There's that flash. Here we go. And this is the next day me coming in, and I am going to fix up a lot of this really rough line work and also lay down some colors. You know, I like to go in when I'm returning to a project, especially one that frustrated me so much, with a more positive attitude. I'm relatively a positive person overall. So with this kind of picture, I wanted to go in first and put down my base tones and just see what it looked like before shading, before I cleaned up different parts. And I'm happy I did it this way, because this gives me a kind of happy feeling going forward. I'm enjoying what I'm looking at. Yeah, like I get to see these colors on the page and play with the colors a little bit. And color work is just really, really fun. So that really helps. So looking at this version of Haru, if you haven't played Persona 5 Royale, you may not recognize this outfit. This is one of her newer ones that's in that expanded part of the game, where you could play during January, the time that it kind of skipped over a little bit at the end of the game. And in that part, you could see the picture I pulled. Like, there's weren't many references of the pictures of her in this new outfit online, but I was lucky to grab one. It's not super high quality, but it was nice enough that I could pull colors from it. So you can see in that picture this really adorable outfit that they put Haru in. This like fluffy coat with a little beret, and I think it just complements her overall look and that fluffy hair. She's just so fluffy and adorable. I love her character design. So when I saw that, I knew I had to draw it. So here I am trying to decorate her cup. I tried to pull the colors from her like tight stockings that she's wearing, and I think it works pretty well. I'm a big fan of pink and brown. I don't know if you could tell that from all of the branding, I guess, on my page. It's probably my favorite color combination. So that's another reason why I was really drawn to this version of the character, because it really plays with those tones and shades. And honestly, I would love to own that jacket that she has. It is amazing. So this is where I'm starting to shade in the skin, which is my favorite thing to shade, and usually the thing that I color in first. I've always enjoyed doing this, especially with traditional art when I was using my Copic markers. Copic. I've heard it pronounced both ways. Honestly, I flip back and forth between the two. So I'm sorry if one bothers you. You'll hear the other one occasionally. So I use my, when I use my Copic markers, I have many different skin tones, and I'm the type that loves to blend and layer them. Doing skin, I really feel like the picture starts to look like a picture. Here you can see I'm finally cleaning up those lines. I got to the point where I started shading where I'm like, I can't leave it like this with all these bumps and ridges and weird overlapping bits. So I'm going in and I'm fixing, and I'll be fixing throughout this final part as I'm noticing these different bits and pieces that need to be fixed. It's a little more work to do at this point because I not only have to fix, I have to go in and color correct the areas because I'm erasing and it goes back to that paper layer. But it's worth it. It's worth it because I felt so much better when I finally had my line work a bit more smooth and what I'm used to. And again, so frustrating. And this is why I would recommend just come back the next day. If it's not working for you, look at it again with fresh eyes. Now, there's some areas on here that are still kind of rough, like her little fuzzy parts around the sleeves and around her collar. And I just left those rough. It's supposed to look kind of fluffy, so I'm just like, all right, it looks textured to me. I'm just gonna leave it. And I added to the texturing by roughly coming in and drawing my lines and then coming in and erasing parts of it so it looks a little bit more random. And I like the effect that it ended up with. It looks a bit more textured, and that's what I was going for. I'm also adding texture to the hat here. I wanted to keep the shading on it pretty simplistic because her hair is complicated. And I didn't want it to look too busy at the top of her head to take away from the hair part. I want the hair to stand out. The hair is my favorite thing about her character design. I love how poofy and fluffy it is. And honestly, I probably comes from a little bit of envy. My hair is pretty straight normally. It doesn't hold a curl at all. And I have to use like shampoos that have like extra body to even get some bounce out of it. So looking at her hair, I'm just like, oh, I want it. I want that hair. Her character itself, I feel like within the game, there's so much more they could have done. And I wish they explored her character more. I kind of understand why they didn't. She did appear later in the game as opposed to a lot of the other characters. So you didn't get her for a lot of those group outings that a lot of the characters had. And she doesn't get a lot of scenes one-on-one with other characters. And she doesn't seem to have strong relationships with anybody but the MC if you go that route, which I would recommend. Her romance route is super adorable. I was hoping for a little bit more in Royale with her character because I, again, always liked her character design, but it was hard to get too attached to her personality-wise because they didn't do a super lot with her, in my opinion. And they did add some more to Royale, especially in the January scenes, which I thought were fantastic. But again, I guess I just want more Haru. I think she's super, super sweet. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call her my favorite of the cast, which is saying a lot because I like her a lot. I thought the characters in Persona 5 were fantastic. And honestly, that's something that the whole Persona series does insanely well. Their characters are compelling. Their characters are so strong. I love the characters in the series. Now, I have not played 1 or 2, but I have played 3, 4, and 5 multiple times, including the extended special versions of each, and every time I have not been disappointed. If you haven't played these games and you like JRPGs, if you like story, if you like games that are a bit more psychological almost, kind of analyzing the human condition, I would highly recommend these games. They are fantastic character studies in themselves. And the art in them is amazing. And it's something I'll talk about a bit more because after this piece, even though the Haru drawing frustrated me so much, I really liked how this turned out. And I ended up drawing like all of the main girls in the cast in this type of style. So there'll be more going forward and I'll be able to talk a little bit more about them. So here on this cup, I kind of have a weird technique when I want to show things that are shiny. I made a second layer and just colored with a highlight color on top and a shadowy color as well. And it looked really bad till I made the layer a little bit transparent. So that way you could see a little bit behind, and to me, it looks like there's a bit of a glare on that mug itself. Well, I'm really happy with the result, but it looks really weird till you make it transparent. I also added a little bit of like smoky steaminess coming off, so it looks more like coffee, which is what I was going for. Now, I've had some people tell me it looks like hot chocolate, and honestly, I'm fine with that. Either way, I think it's really adorable. The background, I was embracing again that brown pink aesthetic. I wanted to go for something kind of bubbly. Originally, I was thinking that I was gonna play off the polka dots in her tights. I was gonna do the polka dots within her cup, but I decided on stars instead because I didn't want it to be too many circles on the page. And I like the juxtaposition of the stars next to the circles. And I love how this turned out with that background. I'm not usually a big background artist. I tend to draw a character and just leave it with like just an empty white space. I think a lot of artists do that because honestly, some of the most fun things to do in art are character designs if you are a character loving artist like I am. So I'm trying to push myself a bit more with this channel to give complete works of art. And this background's a little more abstract, but I think it really adds to the piece. At the end here, I actually played with the saturation and contrast a little bit, as I tend to be a little conservative with my color choices as I'm coloring, but I prefer really bold, high contrast looks at the end. So you might see a really big change from all the colors you were used to seeing to the end product that I'm satisfied with. I do like it when things stand out a lot more. Like I said, high contrast is really my favorite thing. This drawing was a bit of a journey. So yeah, this drawing was a journey for me. I had a bit of struggles, but I'm happy I stuck out. And honestly, I'm really happy I stopped in the middle because I was able to save it, really. That's kind of how it feels. And at the end, looking at it, I'm inspired to create more, and I already have. So please come back to see some of the other characters. If I didn't draw your favorite, if Haru is not your favorite character, I am working on the others. So I would love, 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 love if you would join me again. If you liked what you see, please like and subscribe so you don't miss a video. And I will be posting every week, sometimes even more than once a week. Thank you again for coming and joining me today. And have an artsy day. I will see you next time.